It is something of a crypto day on the brief, so first up, let's look at trading volume. Crypto trading volume saw its biggest month-over-month increase between July and August since February of 2018. Volume grew 75% from $108.3 billion in July to $191.2 billion in August. Now, this is just spot volume, and there is a huge amount of focus right now on derivatives as well, so it may even be understating the real activity. The month was an interesting one. Even though it wasn't huge in terms of Bitcoin price, there was obviously a huge amount of activity in the DeFi space, but even more than that, it still felt like the narrative was strong with Bitcoin. It didn't feel like there was a sort of settling in of a return to normalcy. It felt like there was a temporarily cool off in a larger heated up trend than anything else. That may be what we're seeing and what was reflected in these numbers. Speaking of DeFi, since I covered this on the weekly recap, next up on the brief, let's take a quick look at the Uniswap SushiSwap TVL battle. I went through the whole saga on Saturday if you want to listen to that, but basically my TLDR is that this is a vicious competition that's all about incentives, and that reflects the larger state of competition in the context of open source protocols. When you rip out IP, all you have left are incentives and eventually maybe network effects, but right now incentives are beating the pants off of network effects. The latest in that incentive competition is that block rewards for liquidity providers on SushiSwap dropped from 1,000 tokens to 100 tokens. This was completely planned after the migration of the 800 billion that we saw last week, but still, total value locked in Sushi fell from 1.46 billion to 885 million. In the same period, meanwhile, Uniswap volume locked increased to 955 million. In their analysis of the episode, CoinDesk said the drop suggests a significant number of LPs were primarily motivated by maximizing their Sushi holdings rather than by supporting an ostensibly more decentralized alternative. To which I say, yeah, duh. This is exactly what I was getting at on my Saturday episode, is that this is a competition that's entirely about incentives, and because of that, I wouldn't take this as some ha-ha moment for SushiSwap. Instead, I would take it as a welcome to the Thunderdome moment for the industry as a whole. Liquidity providers in the context of decentralized finance are somewhere between mercenaries and degenerate gamblers, and that is not an insult, by the way, but it is the reality of this space right now. Naval Ravikant even weighed in on this on Twitter on Saturday, saying the next big wave in DeFi starts when Wall Street figures out that crypto has built a better casino. His point, of course, is that this is a crazy financial playground and we should expect more craziness to come. Last up on the brief today, one more note on DeFi and its competition with centralized networks. Coinbase has a rough track record with the Apple App Store. Their first ever app was removed less than a month after launching in 2013. And last December, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, commented on a Reddit post about Apple iOS issues, writing that, quote, Apple seems to be eliminating usage of dApps from the App Store. Well, on Friday, Brian came back to Twitter to talk a little bit more about this. He wrote, in the wake of other companies struggling with Apple's App Store restrictions, I want to share a bit about Coinbase's own struggle here. Many companies are reluctant to speak out on these topics for fear of retaliation, but I feel like we need to continue the dialogue in the open. We've tried discussing this through regular channels with Apple, and I reached out directly to leadership to request a dialogue, but we seem to be at a dead end. Here is the issue. Apple has told us we cannot add the following functionality in our iOS apps. 1, the ability to earn money using cryptocurrency, and 2, the ability to access decentralized finance apps. Why would Apple want to prevent people from earning money during a recession? They seem to be not okay with it if it uses cryptocurrency. I'm not sure why. This is what our Coinbase Earn product does. We sometimes end up in bizarre negotiations with them, modifying the product and asking users to jump through hoops, do a task on mobile, then move to the web to claim your reward, to comply with their guidelines. This creates a worse experience for Apple and Coinbase customers. In addition to earning, they have told us we cannot provide a list of decentralized apps, which are really just websites, to users on iOS. DeFi and dApps are a major area of innovation in financial services that has seen rapid growth lately. They let people get access to a global credit market to get a loan or earn interest, for instance. There are many unbanked and underbanked people in the world who have no ability to get a loan to buy a home or start a business, so this kind of technology has enormous potential to improve the world over time, even if it is still early days. So why is Apple making it more difficult for iOS customers to use DeFi apps? They've told us, quote, "Your app offers cryptocurrency transactions and non-embedded software within the app, which is not appropriate for the App Store." dApps or DeFi apps are fundamentally just websites you can access through any browser. So Apple is essentially saying you can't provide users with a list of websites they can go visit through an app. I feel like Apple customers should be made aware. The crypto apps you use on iOS are not missing some features you want because the teams haven't gotten to them. Those features are being censored by Apple. I greatly admire Apple as a company and think they build amazing products, but their restrictions on the App Store, in particular around cryptocurrency, are not defensible in my view, and they are holding back progress in the world. Apple also has a conflict of interest in applying these App Store restrictions. While they are ostensibly designed to protect customers, it increasingly looks like they are protecting Apple from competition. Forcing users to use the App Store instead of dApps or websites, or iApp instead of crypto payments, reminds me of what Microsoft did back in the day, forcing users to use IE if you were on Windows, which led to all of their antitrust issues. Apple, it's time to stop stifling innovation in cryptocurrency. We would like to work with you productively on this. Someday, cryptocurrency could even be integrated into iApp and give people in emerging markets better access to the financial system globally. Remember that small group of enthusiasts and misfits at the Homebrew Computer Club who saw a glimpse of the future in the Apple II? Big ideas sometimes start off looking like toys. That is exactly where Bitcoin was just a few short years ago, and a major transformation in financial services is now underway. So there's a couple things that I think are interesting here. One is Apple is in a very weird transitional position where they were able to capture and control so much of the mobile environment for so long because they invented the genre in many ways of the smartphone. Remember, when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone, the whole hook of his presentation, which is famous and you should absolutely go watch it if you haven't seen it, was that Apple was not announcing one but 4 revolutionary products that day. He then went on to talk about all of the different things that it was, a phone, a music player, a browser, etc. And then the whole gist of it was that they were all one device. The point is that because they invented the genre, they were able to control it for a very long time, but that control is breaking. It's being assaulted on all sides. You have on the one hand the Epics of the world and the Fortnites of the world who are making it extremely difficult from a power position for Apple to lay claim to the next generation of experiences on mobile. And then you have crypto, which is creating an entirely separate financial rails, which will complicate Apple's ability to control the flow of payments entirely through its apps. I think this is interesting because it's reflective of a much larger transitional battle that's likely to play out between centralized services and the new competitors, both centralized and decentralized, that undermine their ability to control. That's likely to play out a lot over the next few years.